and the mystery illness in which the slightest exposure to sunlight can be devastating.
Thank you. Welcome back. You know, we've all heard about how overexposure to the sun can be dangerous. Well, our next story is about some people who are so sun-sensitive that even the gentlest ray of sunshine can be tragic. These are victims of porphyria. Here's our report. Some say that the vampire and werewolf myths have their origins in patients with a blood disease called porphyria. This is an unjust stigma, even though these patients are extraordinarily sensitive to the sun because their bodies accumulate an abnormal light-sensitive pigment. These are light-sensitive porphyrins. They react so strongly to light that they seem to glow in the dark. The body normally converts porphyrins into hemoglobin in your red blood cells, but in porphyria, an inherited enzyme defect blocks this process and causes too many porphyrins to accumulate in the body. The resulting disease can take many forms. The treatments for porphyria are as varied and exotic as the disease itself. Many patients benefit from being bled regularly to reduce porphyrin levels in the blood. Some of the newest research involves charcoal. Charcoal can bind poisons like porphyrins and carry them out of the body.
Oh, you got the tree?
But for some people, new ways of controlling porphyria may be coming a bit late. Gene Bennett is one of 70 people in the world who have the rarest form of this disease. Although he must constantly wear a hood and gloves when outdoors, the sun has already ravaged his body. Now, Gene is an extremely brave man who's battled porphyria since he was 18. Now, he's wearing the hood to protect him from the sun, not because he's ashamed of how he looks, yet he does look different. And seeing him challenges those who would judge a person on looks alone. It's a challenge that may be tough for some of you. This is Gene as a young man. Initially, he was treated incorrectly. Doctors prescribed the worst possible therapy, ultraviolet light.
In those days, and even to some extent nowadays, it was soak up the sun, and you know, you can't get enough sun. I have enjoyed a relatively normal life, done almost everything I have cared to do, and I certainly couldn't have done these as a person sitting in a dark room.
And he certainly does have a normal life. Gene has 7 children, 3 grandchildren, a career as a photographer and Christmas tree farmer, and lots of friends.
After they get to know him, most people like him. In fact, everybody that I know of that knows him likes him.
We don't see him the way everybody else does. You know, we see him as my husband, their dad. I mean, he's, you know, he does everything the same way everybody else does. It just takes him a little longer, and it's a little harder, that's all.
Obviously, he's different physically. He looks different from other people. But as far as being a father, he's a very good father. He always was a good provider. I could talk to him about anything, anytime. He'd do anything for me. I'd do anything for him. He's just stronger inside than most people because of what he's had to go through. But other than that, once you get past his appearance, he's perfectly normal. He's my father. I love him. What can I say?
I would hope that when people see him, and if they would get to know him or at least know what he's done, that they would say to themselves, well, if he had this little to work with and he did so much, I have a lot more to work with. I can do a lot too.
There certainly has been people far worse off than myself, and I've been in enough hospitals enough times to just look in the next vet or whatever. But there's a proverb that goes that I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man that had no feet. And I think that sums it up.
There's a lesson in the strength of the human spirit, huh? Well, Gene has a very rare form of porphyria. Most porphyrics do very well and don't have the disfigurement, and I don't want to upset them with this story. And we'll be back with more of Medical Journal, so stay tuned.